Hello again, peoples. It's the same day as that last video. I just got cold, so I put on a hoodie. So I just wanted to continue talking, and I wanted to break it up. Again, the chirping is still there. But I just wanted to break it up into 2 videos so it wasn't like too much to watch at once. So basically, I'm gonna go more into the ups and downs, and I'll just start talking. So, I don't know. It was really hard to be in treatment, especially because, like I was saying before, having a place to come home to and still talk about it, like, again, so I was 18 at the time. I'm only 19 now, but I don't know. 18 was just like a big deal for, excuse me, my parents, and like still needing to share with them and be open and stuff. And eventually I had to tell them, like, no, like, it's hard to talk about because I'm already sitting with it all day. And I don't know, it was hard to be able to have enough confidence to be like, no, this is my treatment. Like, I need to do this for me, and not really include them as much. I don't want to really get into about my relationship with my parents and everything and how it ties in, but I'll get into that maybe another time. But it's definitely hard to open up in that aspect. They're not toxic or anything, but it's definitely, we've had a lot of stuff to work through over the years. So that's been hard. I remember being in group therapy with my parents and in the clinic, because that's an option. You can bring in your family members. And just a lot of things that I heard. Some of it was disheartening. Other parts, I felt bad because I was putting them through it, and I didn't really think about how my eating disorder made other people feel. My eating disorder was about me. It was mine. It was something that I could do, and it wasn't about anybody else. It was about me. And, well, that's not completely true. I mean, it was mine and everything, but I remember at first I was tired of getting all these comments about my food, so I was like, okay, if I stop eating, maybe people won't talk about me and like food anymore and like my relationship with food. And it worked, so I kept going. But again, this is not that story. This is about the clinic. So the clinic itself was a nice place. The group of people that I was with, actually both times I got admitted, I was with different people. So the first time, I actually never got to say goodbye to some people, which was really hard. But the first group had some things in common with people. Again, it was really hard being there with people a lot older than me, but it helped me see a different aspect of like, okay, like I can work through this. And I know that's kind of repetitive from the last video, but it's something that I just really think is important. I don't really talk about my time in treatment. I remember even this year, like this being my sophomore year, I don't talk about it much. Like I don't really address it, and and I don't know why. So I will talk about this though, especially my freshman year. It was interesting to have to come back to school. So again, outpatient was 3 times a week, and my mom would drive me home from outpatient every night. Every night I had it. It was over at like 8:30 at night, and I had a roommate, Destiny. She will be in a video soon. I recorded something with her, but I didn't post it yet. And she was my roommate, and I guess after treatment, I would come back just kind of zoned out. Like, again, it was really hard to have to sit down and actually face it and call yourself out on your problems. Like, I went so long with being like, no, I'm fine, like, this is normal. I did sports, so I was like, oh, this is, I'm just training for track. And eventually it wasn't track season, and I was still going crazy in the gym, just to do it, to give something to do, and so that I wouldn't have to come home at times. And other times it was just like, I liked working out. It gave me a nice rush of energy, and I liked it, until it took it too far, and I wasn't eating right, or at all, and I was working out so much and it wasn't balancing. But I go off topic really quickly. Wow. So being at school, it was hard because apparently like it showed, like when I got back to the room, she could see how hard it was. There were times I came back crying because, again, it's just not a great headspace to be in when you finally realize, okay, I guess something's wrong with me. Or not wrong with me, but there's something that I need to address. So I also, so I've been talking about anorexia this whole time with that, but I also, for like, not as long, but I struggled with bulimia, which took a toll on my body. It was, okay, I guess I can just talk, like, not many people are gonna watch this anyway, unless they do. But so, for some years, so bulimia is when you force yourself to throw up, and that's one of the core parts. There's many other aspects of it, but that's one of the key things that makes someone bulimic. And I was doing it super frequently, but I had like anorexia and bulimia kind of mixed. So, also known as EDNOS, I was diagnosed with EDNOS first, which is eating disorder not otherwise specified, where you kind of just have a bunch of just bad relationships with food. And eventually it progressed into anorexia and it progressed into bulimia. But having that hybrid of not eating and then forcing yourself to throw up. What are you throwing up? Because there's nothing there. So, excuse me. This is why I'm telling the story, the burping. So being bulimic for a couple years. So I think I struggled with anorexia for about 6 years now. Yeah, wow. And bulimia maybe like 2, maybe 3 years. I'm not doing math right now, but definitely took a toll on my body medically. I was talking about this a little bit in the last video, and I guess I can talk about it now. I ended up with 3 stomach ulcers, which was not a fun time. And it wasn't even diagnosed in that order. Like at first they had to do like heart monitors and stuff because like I was getting heart palpitations from not eating and over-exercising. And then I was getting terrible acid reflux, and for someone who's like, 18, 17, 16, whatever, acid reflux is not usually something you have to face. So they were like, what's going on? And I was like, hey, I don't know. And eventually they were like, are you eating? And I was like, no. And they're like, do you force yourself to throw up? And I was like, sometimes. And like I said, it took a toll. So I got 3 stomach ulcers, and I was diagnosed with acid reflux, and I had to take this yucky medicine. So I had to pay the price for forcing myself to throw up, but for a while there was no side effects, which is why I think I got so carried away. I felt great. I loved the feeling of like being lightheaded when I stood up, because that meant that I wasn't eating that. Well, this is when it progressed. I like the feeling of like drinking water on an empty stomach. Like it was just small things. I didn't realize I was falling in love with different parts of my eating disorder because I fell out of control with a lot of other things, and that is not what it is for everyone. Like anorexia specifically can be about wanting to be skinny, but that's not all it is. Like other times for me it was also just something I could control. For other people it might be something different, and I would love if people would share their experiences, because even as hard as it is a community of people. So which is something that I learned in the clinic. Like everybody has their own experiences, everybody has their own life, and they're facing all these so like hard things that some people felt like they're going through alone. And coming to treatment, especially group treatment, and hearing other people's stories was a big thing for me to want to start recovering, but not always for others. I know people who are just like, nah, recovery doesn't work, like it's impossible. And I don't agree with that, but I do understand how you could think it, because once you look at food one way and you get so deep in an eating disorder, like you'll never look at food the same. Like you might be able to find some habits and be healthy with eating again, but every now and then you might get in the back of your head like, oh, this is this many calories, or this is, oh, remember when I was in treatment for this, and stuff like that. And that's something I'm gonna have to remember throughout my life. So and all the hospital visits and the, I don't know, just going through a lot. And this is just me talking about my eating disorders, not even my mental health in general, but that'll be a different video. But I think that going into treatment definitely helped me in terms of finding coping skills and, again, calling myself out on this isn't okay, you're torturing yourself. And in the back of my head, part of me thought I deserved it. I had gone through some trauma, and I don't know, my relationships with people, I just was like, okay, maybe I deserve to go through something this hard and hurt myself. It was my new form of self-harm, I guess, because I stopped cutting. So I thought, and I had struggled with like suicide ideation. So instead of it being so outward and like cutting or doing all of that kind of stuff, I stopped, and I was like, okay, let me find a new way to slowly die. And it almost worked. And I'm glad it didn't, because I definitely have come a long way. I still face my struggles and everything, but I am slowly working towards becoming a healthier me, hopefully. But yeah, this video is not even close to being about the clinic. I've been talking about my experiences and everything, but it stemmed from the clinic. So for me personally, I think going to the clinic was good, but again, it might not be for everyone, or you have to be pretty mentally, you have to kind of mentally prepare yourself, I would say that. And I'm not saying like, oh, I guess I won't go to treatment because I need to mentally prepare before I go, but if you are going to treatment, just be ready that it's going to be hard. It's not going to be like, oh, I'm going to treatment and it's going to be a great recovery. And no, you're going to have to go through your ups and downs. You'll probably have relapses, which you have to accept for yourself to be like, okay, one of the quotes I like is, recovery is not a linear slope. Like, you have your ups and downs, and you have to be able to talk to yourself and be like, okay, I had a setback, but I still have to be motivated and determined to keep moving forward, and that can be one of the hardest parts. I'm not an expert or anything, that's not what I'm saying, but I do know that's just something that I've faced. I will fix that trippy thingy. I will do it. Anyway, so that's really what I wanted to say about that in terms of the clinic and some of my experience with like stemming off of that. I know that my eating disorders are definitely not as severe as what they used to be. I still struggle with restricting myself, and sometimes it's not even on purpose. It's just like you have a habit for so long, you don't know how to break it. And I did break it for a while. I was doing good. I think it was like last summer. I was just keeping myself busy, and I was going through other things. I didn't really have time to think about not eating. And but I kind of fell back into it, and it's kind of like the in-between, like a quasi-recovery, where it's like you're not fully recovering, but you're not really relapsing. You're just kind of in the middle, stuck, and so you're not reaping the benefits of recovery. You're just kind of not as bad as what you were. So that's kind of where I am, but I'm okay with that because I'm still trying to progress myself, and I have a support system that I don't always utilize, but I have one. So I'm gonna try to get better with being okay with the fact that I might need help at times, because that's something I didn't always like to admit, that I needed help. I was like, no, I'm good, like I got this. I was looking out for myself way before you got here. I can keep doing it. And it was that stubbornness that I almost died. So let me not say it like that. If I continued on the road that I was on, I definitely would have had some major crisis issues that were definitely in my way, like with heart problems and acid reflux like I have now. Oh, and that's why I burp. I don't know if I really explained that. I really messed up my esophagus and loosened my sphincter. So the acids from my stomach, they come up every now and then, and it hurts really bad because forcing yourself to throw up is not what your body is supposed to do. I don't know if anybody knew that, but it's not what your body was made for. So throwing up every now and then when you're sick is like, okay, like, ooh, no. But once you're doing it like 3-4 times a day and there's nothing in your stomach and you're just going for it, it's not the greatest. And I wish people would understand. Yes, I'm wearing pants, but I wish people would feel okay with like asking for help, because I think a big stigma about this is, oh, she just wants to be skinny. I'm like, okay, well, no. But it does sometimes progress to that. Like, you can go in with one mindset of not even thinking about your body and just something you want to control, and then eventually you're like, okay, well, what if I just lost a couple more pounds, or what if I shrunk my waist a little bit more? I want to look like this or that, and then you kind of get consumed that way. But you know, it's so many different factors for everybody, and I highly encourage people to tell their story, because there'll be people out there who really are struggling and might need a voice, and I would like to be confident enough to share my story, or not even confident enough, but just be able to share and hope somebody connects and feels like they're being heard. In the future, I hope like my next videos and stuff, I kind of want to talk about like weight stigmas a little bit more, and I want to talk about a lot more in this field and like the mental health field. That'll be a whole little series in this channel. But that's just a little bit more about me that you know, and I'm trying to be more open about it because I'm not ashamed of it. It's something that I went through, and it's something that I'm gonna have to pay for, and I'm still paying for. So I hope this was something that you were just able to listen to and chill out to. So have a good night or day. Okay, bye.